Affairs with Faith and Mental Health Perspectives. I'm Bishop Guy Robinson, and I count it a blessing to be able to have this time with you today. Also grateful to have my colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepard, with us today. Hello, Dr. Shepard.
Hey, Bishop, and good morning and afternoon to all those who are out there listening to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. We trust and pray that you are doing well. We want to invite you to let someone know that it is time for Spirit in Mind live. If you're listening by radio, praise 106. Text, call somebody, give them a message that they can turn to praise 106. You can even be a part of the discussion today by calling into the station directly at 443-380-2803. Did you get it? Here it is again, 443-380-2803. We would love to hear from you right now because it's time for Spirit in Mind. Dr. Shepard is going to give some other ways that you can stay connected by streaming and other ways, and we'll get into our topic of discussion for today.
And thank you, Bishop, and just want to greet everyone who is out there. Just want to say thank you all for continuing your support for Spirit in Mind. Bishop, it's almost happening every week now where someone's coming up to me saying, I've been listening to you all on the radio, enjoying the session. I had the privilege of attending an event, a concert even this past week, and while there, persons were telling us we live the Spirit in Mind, and so I am so encouraged by the fact that people are listening to us on Saturdays. And we want you to know that we're taking special care to make sure that you are well informed and that you leave encouraged and that we are providing the best material that we can that will increase your faith and also improve your mental well-being. You can reach out to us. Bishop C. Guy Robinson is the pastor and he is a professor at Morgan State University. He's not the pastor of Morgan State, but he is a pastor and a professor. I can say it like that. I don't know. There's too many people over there at Morgan State who are pastors. But he is the pastor of the Tabernacle of the Lord Church, and that is 2100 West Baltimore on the west side of 2100 West Baltimore Street. That is on the west side of Baltimore City. But he is also a professor over at Morgan State, HBCU. Some great things are occurring over there. He's also author of book, Critical Collaboration, and just a noted student and a professor who is well versed in theology and in mental health. And so you want to go and follow him on his Facebook pages, on his Instagram, YouTube, CGR Ministries. And I'll put that for those who are watching us on live stream. Then you can go to my Facebook page, my social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, or you can go to my website. I continue to work hard on evolving my website, drjonathanshepard.com. If you're in need of any direct care services, we'll gladly be able to help you. Direct care services in Maryland and in the District of Columbia, and we'll make sure that we can help you. And I'm also going to be emphasizing as we move forward my motto, which is where ministry and medicine flourish. And so we want to make sure that we're helping you in both of those areas where ministry and medicine flourish. drjonathanshepard.com. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. And again, it's all about the power of connection. We're grateful for every opportunity and every vehicle we have to be connected, as a Spirit in Mind team today. So listen, we want to talk about a discussion that we've been discussing for a couple of weeks now, but it really is relevant and really is I guess timeless for as long as we are experiencing this existence. We've been talking about dealing with transitions. Life is still with transition. Life takes changes, multiple arenas of change. Of course, there is, changes on the job. Not only changes at work, but changes in our own psychosocial development, our own process of being and becoming, and changes in our relationships. And we move on and move forward. And even when changes are for the better, it can still come with some feelings of loss and perhaps some grieving, some attachment, frustrations, anxieties. All of those things are very human, very, very much a part of our human experience. And so we want you to join in on this as we're talking about coping, ways to deal and coping healthy ways with the inevitability of transitions and changes in life. Dr. Shepard's going to give us comment up, but that's our subject of the discussion today. And we want to invite you, anybody, any friends, in addition to yourself, if you know anybody who's going through some changes in life, just some major life-altering experiences, or even on whatever level, because change happens on a continuum, but whatever level of change and they're trying to cope and deal and move forward in a healthy way. Tell them it's time for spirit and mind, as Dr. Shepard leads us further.
Absolutely, and thank you, Bishop. And we're actually on part 10 of this series, just to show you how timeless this is that we actually have 10 different parts, and we still have way more material to cover, because transitions are something that everyone must face. Everyone must go through them. And we've been talking about various traps of transition. We've been talking about the different things that are required as you go through transition. The last few weeks, we've been talking about how we must change our people, our circle of people, that as we go through the change, that those people will shift and change. I'm thinking about this, of how when we look at our relationships, that's the word I was looking for, relationships, and how relationships are our currency for our destiny. I believe that's the quote that you gave last week. That's what I was searching for. And how, as we move through our transitions, that our relationships will shift and really help in directing the way in which our paths will go. I've been really this week, Bishop, been challenged as and really it's a question for you as we get started here. Is it possible to stay in a transition too long? That's what I've been wrestling with this week, to be honest with you. Is it possible to stay in a transitional state too long, or is it possible to come out of a transition too quickly? Those are things that I ponder. Yes, we come here to provide some answers, but we're real with you. There's answers, there's questions that we have ourselves, because even as we share in this series, many times we're working out and walking out things as we share them with you. And I've been really struggling there, saying, Shepard, is there a time where you can stay in a transitional state too long? Or is there a possibility where you come out of the transition too quickly? And I'll just say this piece, Bishop, before I hand it over to you regarding some questions. Those two questions. I look at the transitions where we move and elevate from one stage to another stage. And I know a lot of people that struggle when it's time to move forward and you have to start over again. So if you complete a program, say you get your degree in a particular school, you now have to start over if you're going to enter into another program. They just don't start you out at the end because you just got your bachelor's degree or your associate's degree or your PhD. You got to go back and begin all over again. And so you have to start back at step one again. And for a lot of people, that's hard to do. When you're transitioning, recognize that you're moving forward. And it's like, well, maybe I don't want to move forward. Maybe I don't want to go. Now, I'm not trying to add another question in there, Bishop, but these are the things that I've been really wrestling with, because I see where so many people, they don't like to go through transition because they know they're going to have to start over again back at step one. And so I'll leave it right there. There's some things that I'll share after Bishop states that I've kind of come to a conclusion with, but I want to start right there in our discussion today.
Absolutely. I'm on several levels.
That's a powerful question, and I think we're working through this together as we talk through it, and even as we share. I want to echo Paul and say, I count not myself to have apprehended. I'm trying to apprehend. I've already been apprehended. Yes, I would think that there are certain transitions have seasons there. The scriptures are clear in Ecclesiastes that to everything there is a time, there's a season, and even transitions have a set time. There's a set time of favor. There's a set time here and there. And I see that. Mindful of several, there's times in did the wilderness experience really require 40 years to move from those zones? But there were times when they were doubtful, fearful, questioned their identity, and all those kind of things. And the very concept of arrested development suggests that we can stay in the stage too long, which would include the stage of transition. And there are reasons for that. Sometimes maybe it's because of that's the other trajectory is the Ericksonian stages of psychosocial development. So you can get stuff like identity versus confusion, and so either one of those can. The latter can cause us to kind of skip some steps, stay in the stage too long. So there are reasons why you just said it, because with promotion comes a new cycle and a new season. So we start over again at one, but we're on another level. That school example was powerful. You leave middle school, and then you're in high school. So you really got promoted, but in high school they're calling you a freshman. So all things new. And so too does our walk in faith. I'm trusting God at another level. Trusting God at another level now. Some of you perhaps maybe you've been choir members, but now you're auxiliary president. It's another level of leadership, and it's an honor to serve. But now you got promoted on your job, and so now there's another skill set that is developed and being developed. So it's another level, another dimension, really. But it's a entry level on another dimension. Yeah. So certainly, and that can raise anxieties, it can raise insecurities, and it can raise fears, and make us kind of like not want to grow.
Right. Entry level on an elevated level.
Yeah.
I like that. Right. An entry level on another level. Say it quicker. Yeah, I like that. Entry level on an elevation or at elevation. And so many people don't like entry level jobs.
Think about it mathematically. This is such a good question that all these illustrations come. So you go through. That's the genius of math system. You got your tens and you got your 20s. So you get to 10, and like boom, that's a landmark moment. And then the next set is 11. So now I'm in another level, but I'm back at 1. And then I'm at 20. And then boom, that's a major level. Then I cross the threshold, 21. So I'm in my 20s now. But I'm in my early 20s. Then to all the other people there's other people that are beyond me, above me, have more experience. And so every dimension of growth brings new levels and new insecurities, perhaps even new anxieties that are to be mastered.
And I just wanted to share that with people today, because I know that is something that people wrestle with. And I want to make sure that you know that even if you're at an entry level place, but you're at an elevated position, I say that for myself. I've began a new job now, 12 weeks into it. And even though I have the skill set, even though I have the experience that allowed for me to obtain that job, I came at an entry level because I did not know the location. I didn't know the culture. Obviously the location, but I didn't know the how the that particular location operates. I said it like that. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know the people, and so I have to be able to get acquainted. I have to be able to dive in and be able to understand. I just can't come in with my baggage from my other places. And so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about even more so today is that many times we'll carry our baggage as we're transitioning and think that that baggage is what's going to allow for us to work now at that elevated level.
Yeah, this is good, Shepard. Listen, I'm getting excited. So you're at you're at a new level. You're in a new dimension of your destiny, but it's an early stage. Don't get discouraged because then it starts giving flashbacks to other moments when you were in early stages, and it can sometimes maybe deceive us with cognitive distortions or false narratives that we are growing. But no, you're on another level. Shepard just mentioned that in terms of his promotion. Somebody in ministry today, believe me, we've been there. Preacher, I know it is to preach your initial sermon, and then you preach your initial sermon, and then you're with other associate ministers, but you're back at one. So when you're in a room full of ministers, then it's like as the young minister. I remember back in the day, pastoral installation, boom, another level. But then you're in a room full of pastors. You're a new pastor. You know what I mean? Back at one. Consecrated as a bishop in the Lord's church. Then you're in a room full of bishops, and you're back at one as a new bishop. But you're in another dimension of your destiny. You're just at the entry level of a new dimension. That's why I keep emphasizing a distinction between dimensions and levels. There are dimensions of your destiny, and then each dimension has levels. So you are at in a dimension, if you of your destiny. You're now supervisor at work. You've now been promoted to the next step. You're now an ordained minister. You're now, a bishop of the Lord's church. You're now a professor, but you're not tenured. So everywhere you go, there'll be levels. But be encouraged by the fact that you're on the entry level of a new dimension in the unfolding of your destiny, so that you don't give up.
Thank you, Bishop. And I say we because I appreciate that. Even as you go through, and you may find yourself even at a new job, you might find yourself at a new church, and you know what you bring with you, but you know that you have to wait your turn, wait your time. And so many people don't want to do that. It's amazing how many people will just up and leave because they have to start back at the entry level. Well, don't you know this is what I do? This is what I've done. This is how I do it. This is how you all need to change. And I'm just sitting there, like, wait a minute. We have to start out at the entry level. And what happens when you start at the entry level is that you will grow to understand how that operation works. There is a blessing in waiting. I do know that. I won't deal with that. A bishop could talk about that, but I just know for your mind, there is a calmness that will happen when you wait. Many times we will jump out and do things, we say things spontaneously, and it actually increases our anxiety. It will actually increase even our blood pressure, and other areas of our body may not function as well, even our digestive system, because we're so anxious and we're jumping out and doing things ahead of time. But you heard Bishop, he encouraged you. Let's have peace as we are at that entry level, at this new dimension. I'm going to share with you one of the things that we started talking about last week, because we mentioned about baggage, and that really relates to the part two, if you would, about the traps of transition, and that is about your defaults. As you're transitioning, you have to look at your defaults. We defined default last week as a selection made automatically or without active consideration due to lack of a viable alternative. is a selection automatically used by a program in the absence of a choice made by the user. That's such an important and powerful definition, because what happens is when you at the entry level of the new dimension, you have certain things that you have utilized to get to that next dimension. And it almost becomes automatic for us. There were certain things that I did at my former job that became automatic for me. But I had to realize that those things necessarily did not work once I got to the new dimension. And I had to be okay with, Bishop, that was a default. And now recognizing that even as I move forward, I can't look into those use those same defaults to be able to work at that same dimension. Now, will some of them carry over? Yes, I can assess that, but I'll be honest with you, many of them work because people have changed, situations have changed, circumstances have changed. And so I want to tell people that even as you're transitioning, look at your defaults. Look at the things that you normally would just do automatically. You might say, well, I'm used to doing it this way. I'm not going to be flexible. I'm just, it's my way or the highway. You got to watch out for people like that. Be careful of people like that. As you're growing actually should make you more flexible and pliable. I'll say that again. As you grow, you should become more flexible and pliable, more supple, if you would, enough to be able to bend freely without breaking. I'll say that again. You should be able to bend, become supple enough so that you would not break. You're not rigid, you're not hard. I'll stop with here, even a physical analogy. Your hair, as you grow your hair out, your hair should become more flexible and pliable. Now, if you're putting chemicals in your hair, that's a different story. But as you are growing your hair out, actually the length of the hair shaft and actually the hair follicle actually should become more flexible and more pliable, as opposed to a cut hair follicle that remains in place. That's why we get our haircuts, gentlemen. That's why we get our haircuts, ladies, because that allows for that hair follicle to stay in place. But when you have a hair follicle that has not been cut, as it grows, it becomes more flexible, it becomes more pliable, and it won't stay in place. It won't stay in the style that you wanted it. And so I thought about that, Bishop, just a perfect illustration of how God created our hair. And I don't have that much hair in my head. If you look at it on the live stream, but the hair that I do have, I have to cut it so they stay in place. Otherwise, it's going to look a little out of place. But I will let you know, out of hairspray, the out of place hairs still have some significance because it shows growth, it shows flexibility and pliability.
Growth, flexibility, pliability, and this is why we talk through these things about change, because change there's an if you will an art to it. There's a spirituality to it that really covers it, because we've talked about a couple things. We're talking about moving forward. We're talking about standing still. We're talking about being flexible. All these things are part of a dimension, being flexible, being pliable. And we're talking about something powerful that you said a few moments ago, Dr. Shepard, waiting, the art of waiting. So many times we think that waiting is a sign of weakness or deterioration, but no, waiting is not the same as stagnation. Waiting is, the scriptures put it this way: they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. What a powerful thing. We say that so often in scripture, in church, but think about what that means versus what sometimes our mindset is. Sometimes we think that waiting is making us weaker, but the scripture suggests that waiting is actually making us stronger, that strength is being developed while we wait. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Think about in terms of sleep hygiene. When we're asleep, there's a kind of active unconsciousness happening We're unconscious maybe, but activity is happening and
Yep.
things are happening to restore us, to strengthen us. And if we deprive ourselves of sleep by hurrying up to wake up and get moving, we're actually moving, but with less strength,
Wow.
with less vitalization than we would have had if we had completed the unconscious or the sleep process. So sometimes when we're waiting, the scripture says our strength is actually being renewed. It may feel like in this culture, it feels like it's impatience, feel like it's making me weaker, making my resolve weaker, but it's actually a process of strengthening us to continue the journey. Now,
Wow.
That's powerful to me.
Wow. And I'll just tell someone, you're at the entry level of your new dimension. Let's wait so our strength can be renewed. Because as you go to the next part of that dimension, you're going to need that strength as you go higher. You're going to need a good mindset. So, Bishop,
Yeah,
I'm leaving it alone at that.
Yeah, we'll stop there. And maybe and then wait on the Lord, not on politics, not on expert opinions, but I'm waiting on the Lord. And if I wait on Him, my strength is being renewed. Listen, we hope this has helped somebody. Stay in the process. You're on a new level, entry level, but a whole new dimension. And we'll talk more about that next time because we look forward to seeing you by the grace of God the very next time on Spirit in Mind.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for an episode of Spirit in Mind.